And from some quizzes to buffalo here at Treehouse Dam. Have a look at how surprisingly in good condition this particular buffalo is. His ears are in good condition, doesn't look like he's carrying too many ticks. His boss is in good condition, horns are nice and sharp, nose is wet. And his friend coming to walk out there, have a look at that reflection. 2 buffalo or 3 in reflection. That was lovely. Now his friend is looking a little bit more grizzled than what he is. A lot more flies. A face all scarred up from years of just fighting and boxing with his friends. This is of course the Cape buffalo. And one of the members of the Big Five. Earning the reputation for, or earning the place amongst the Big Five for being one of the most dangerous animals, one of the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt on foot. They may look slow and cumbersome and full of mud and flies, but let me tell you, they've definitely earned themselves a place at being one of Africa's deadliest. Using his friend's bum as a scratching post, I suppose. These can run at speeds of 55 kilometers an hour. Let me put it into perspective. Elephant run at about 45 kilometers an hour. Rhinoceros at about 45 kilometers an hour. Buffalo at 55 kilometers an hour. Leopard and lion at around about 80 kilometers an hour, and cheetah run at about 100 kilometers an hour. Can you believe? That's a sore place. It looks like a botfly larvae has erupted from the skin of this buffalo, and then successive pickings by oxpeckers have just created a bit of a callus there over the last couple of months. Botflies lay their eggs, or actually they lay their eggs in the sand. The larvae then climb from the sand onto the onto the buffalo that burrow under the skin. They feed on flesh, and then they erupt in these disgusting worms which fall onto the ground again. Bury themselves in the sand and then come out as flies. Have a look at this guy's attitude. 800 kilograms of just grisliness. It's about the only adjective I can think of right now. Cantankerous, bad-tempered, clever, resourceful, strong, grumpy, dirty. He's not enjoying the camera lens pointing at him. You can see he is looking straight into that lens. I've never had it done to myself, but I do know of a few of my guiding colleagues have had buffalo charge the car and actually hit the car. And it has been the only animal that I've had to defend myself against on foot. You can see how close they are to the vehicle, just literally feet in front of us. This guy's a bit skinny. The one that's right in front of our car. He looks like he's got a bit of a limp as well. But he doesn't look like he's losing condition. It's just a sign of the times, I think. The grass that's available at the moment is not the best quality grass that's available. And if he's had a limp, he's not been able to walk to the better feeding areas, which are now a bit further away from these pans, admittedly. You might find while he's waiting for himself to heal up, he's losing a bit of weight. Not too much of a story. He's not by any means as skinny as what they can get. A hungry cow is a sad sight to see. You can actually see that limp that he's got there. Excuse me, let me get my head out of the way. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with his hooves. It actually looks like he's pulled a shoulder muscle. Probably running away from lion. Look at this guy scratching his face. It's how they dislodge ticks and parasites. Giving himself a good scratch on that tree. Raisa has asked, could these Duggar boys be close? Well, could these Duggar boys be close relatives of one another? Raisa, tough to say. They're definitely from the same herd, and that herd would live in this area. That herd has family groups in it. Those family groups have male buffalo as young. Male buffalo, when they get to a certain age in adolescence, leave their natal family group within that herd, and they will become part of the greater sort of the males of that particular herd, and they will fight for a position on that hierarchy amongst themselves, and quite often they will leave together, males of a similar standing. Does that mean that they're closely related? No, it doesn't have to mean that they're closely related at all. I'm just busy thinking now. Absolutely not. So it doesn't mean that they're closely related. They would be from the same herd though, but not necessarily brothers with one another, or uncles or fathers or cousins or anything like that. That buffalo is busy still going for a good scratch on the tree there. Now that they've spent the hottest time of the day mud wallowing, using the water and the mud just to cool themselves down, protect them from the flies, they're now heading off to some feeding areas which are not too far away from this water. I'd say probably about a mile or two away from this water. We start getting better grass cover. They'll spend the night there eating, lying up in those areas, and then tomorrow morning they'll make their way back down to this water again from wherever they were. Have a look at those flowers that are just silhouetted there against that buffalo. Shiversome. That's this late afternoon sun that's on them. Now we've got another visitor to this waterhole. We've got a Hammerkop bird, or it's called a hammerhead bird. Right there. And have a look at the interesting way that the Hammerkop is looking for mollusks and invertebrates in the mud. Rather than get his beak dirty, he uses his feet. Feels around, oops, dislodges or disturbs an insect living in the mud, and then he'll use his beak to pick up the morsel, getting its name, the Hammerkop or hammerhead bird, from that almost looking like a geology hammerhead that he's got. Can't see it now, but definitely in profile. I'll give him a second or two just to turn. There we go. And they build these enormous nests out of mud and sticks. Literally a nest that can support 150 pounds of person. Can you believe it? Just the two, male and female, will build that nest. There'll be a cavity lined with clay on the inside of that nest. They'll lay some eggs, have a baby, and next year they'll build a brand new nest somewhere else. And quite often these Hammerkop nests persist for years and are gradually added to over the years and used by all manner of birds. Eagles, Bateleur eagles, I haven't seen tawny eagles use them. Bateleur eagles I've seen use them, martial eagles I've seen use them, and then eagle owls I've seen use them, spotted eagle owls, giant eagle owls I've seen use them. All manner of small finches and other birds will use this enormous nest as a platform for their own nesting. And a really intricate, huge nest. It's a pity I don't actually have a picture of a Hammerkop nest, but for those of you who are connected, you will definitely find a picture of a Hammerkop, Hammerkop nest on one of the search engines that you use. And if you do find one of those pictures, you're welcome to share it on our Twitter page at #SafariLive, and then everyone can go and have a look. Well, for those of you who are interested in anyway. I just found the way that they fish just absolutely fantastic. There, Andrew's pulling out. Lovely afternoon. Golden light coming through the canopy. And almost time for us to carry on back to the Birmingham Boys. We're probably about a 10 or 15 minute car journey from there. And soon enough we'll be making our way back there to see what they're getting up to. Looking at where those buffalo were wallowing, Matthew, who's only age 9, can you believe it? We've had some young viewers today. Matthew has asked, which am I more scared of? Am I more scared of buffalo or am I more scared of lion? Which is the more dangerous? Matthew, that's a good question. I think they're equally as dangerous in their own right. What am I more scared of walking into? I would have to say that I'm probably more nervous of walking into buffalo than I am of walking into lion. Lion have a tendency, if they're not cornered or not injured, to get up and run away at first encounter. Buffalo, let me first finish that statement. They do that because nothing really approaches lion. They're the king of the jungle, and it's very uncommon for animals to just walk up to lion. And because of that, they generally get a fright as their first reaction and move off. If you carry on pressing a lion, he will chase you, and then at that point they become incredibly dangerous. Buffalo, on the other hand, are used to being hunted from when they're born, and they don't take kindly to being snuck upon or stumbled upon by a human. For that reason, their reaction isn't always first to get up and create distance. Quite often their first reaction is to get up and chase away whatever was giving them a hassle. And these old male buffalo, you can sometimes stumble upon them in the thickest of bush, especially in summertime, where they are hot and there's lots of puddles lying around. They go and lie up in these puddles and will sleep. They're old and their senses are not as good as they used to be anymore. They don't hear you coming. You come around a bush, bam, into a buffalo. And that is why I've had the 3 encounters I've had with buffalo where I've had to defend myself, were all because of that. Coming around the corner, literally not knowing they're there, and getting myself into a sticky situation very, very quickly. It's a situation that as trails guides you'd want to avoid at all costs. You don't want to have to defend your life against anything. Me in particular, we're here to view these animals and to share the bush with them. But yeah, when it comes down to that, that sometimes happens. That's why you see me carry a rifle when I'm on foot, for situations like that. But that's a wrap on that one, I think. Let's leave this pan alone and start making our way back to those Birmingham Boys, who I'm sure within the next couple of minutes are going to be waking up. light that we have is just awesome. After a very good day, after a lovely sighting that we have this morning and so far this afternoon, these end of the days almost feel nice day well spent. Considering anything else I could be doing on the face of the planet, this was a day very well spent. And Jamie's just got an African goshawk at the moment that she wants to share with you, and before it flies away, enjoy it. It's a falcon, correct?
That's a Gabar. Welcome back, and we've got this awesome view of what looks like a little Gabar goshawk. Really, really cool. I've not seen one this close before, so it's awesome. It's actually killed a francolin there, and it's busy devouring it. And that's really impressive if you look at the size comparison. So we've come across our first kill of the day. Oh, struggling to lift it. Obviously wants to get it away from us. Is so cool to see. Trying to move it a little bit further undercover. And the go-away birds have arrived, and they're going to start mobbing him and shouting at him. Oh, and you're going for him. That's incredible. I have never seen that before. And they've completely chased it away. That was absolutely amazing. About 5 different go-away birds just descended on that goshawk at once, chased it off its francolin kill. That was amazing. That is definitely a first for me. And I'm sure that goshawk will be back to try again. Might be feeling a little bit embarrassed having been chased away by these birds, but it's worth remembering that grey go-away birds are fairly large. They're almost as large as that little goshawk was. That was so cool. I've definitely never seen anything like that before. That was amazing. And I'm not sure where our little goshawk has gone. They didn't even make a sound. They're barely chirping. I thought maybe they would be alarm calling and doing their typical go-away sound, but they didn't even do that. They just went straight in and chased it off his francolin. Unbelievable. But I think for now the action's over. That goshawk has been chased away. It'll probably hide itself away for now, away from these go-away birds, and wait for them to leave the area. That was really, truly a first for me. So really, really cool. And triumphantly feeding off parts of this tree, grabbing some berries, and finishing up the meal. After all of that hard work of raptor chasing. And I can still see the body of that francolin. It's tucked away. It's very, very well camouflaged now. It is right behind at the base where that goshawk was attacked. It's sitting behind there. Now, usually I'd love to jump out and just pick it up and show you a little bit more about it. But I'm not going to do that now. Here you can see just the slight speckling behind that tree there. You can just see the feathers sticking up.
Okay.
They come back. Oh, and he's trying to get back again. The grey go-away birds are just not having it. Here he flies up there. And they're still chasing him. He's coming round. Oh, no, he stopped there. Still trying to get back to his francolin carcass. There we can hear him peeping. Peeping away his fury. Oh, there he goes. And moving from tree to tree, just trying to get back to his kill, and the go-away birds are just not letting him anywhere near it. And he's right behind us at the moment. I think he's going to make another, he or she, is going to make another attempt to try and come and collect that carcass. But it's all action here amongst the birds. He's shifted just down here to the right of us. I can't see him at the moment. I don't know if you can see it, Wium.
He's down there somewhere.
He's down in there. Still with the go-away birds watching him. And I was about to say that I didn't want to go and fiddle with the carcass because I think he's going to come back and prove the point very well. This is so cool. Come on, be brave. You can do it. Looks like all of the go-away birds have moved out of the area. They feel as though their point has been made and they've chased it away, but I think he's still here. Let's just wait a moment and see if he are there. I can see him. He's tucked away down there, trying to make sure that it's safe to come out. You can see it's quite a tiny little bird. I mean, these goshawks are fairly small, almost the size of the grey go-away birds, and they were not shy to smack into it. Squeaking in the most disgruntled way possible, still trying to see if it's safe to come back out. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. It is just right behind us, but I'm sure it's going to come back soon. And what we're seeing here in the behavior of these grey go-away birds is a show of solidarity from the various birds who are prey species to raptors. So it's very, very common for bird species that are seed eaters or fruit eaters. There he goes. He's coming in. And I don't want to move at the moment just because I don't want to chase it away any more than it already has been. But those go-away birds were just mobbing it. And it's very common for them to do that to the various raptor species, especially those like these goshawks that are so specialized in terms of hunting other bird species. So the go-away birds don't want that kill. They were just showing him that they're not willing to become the next prey. Wow, that was amazing. It's going to start to pluck it now. And I've just grabbed my binoculars because it looks as though there's another goshawk that's also going to come in here. He's pulling it deeper under cover and starting to pluck those feathers out so that he can feed on it. And when I mentioned the other goshawk, there it is, sitting there. Now, I'm not sure if this is a mate, so the female or the male, or if it's a different little raptor who's come in to see if it can get in on any of this action. At the moment, it seems to be hanging back and just observing. I'm going to try and inch forward so that we can see this goshawk plucking away at this francolin. And if I see any signs that it's disturbed, then I will stop. Wium, if you can just let me know when you've got a fairly good view. No, I'm not going to be able to inch any further forward without scaring it away, which I really, really don't want to do. It's already been chased enough. Plucking away at the feathers. Was really truly awesome. It's one of the best bird of prey sightings I think I've ever had in my life. I've seen birds being mobbed before, but never quite to that extent. They were so determined to chase him off that kill. And I think they've decided that their point is proved. They've accomplished what they set out for. Watching to see what it does for now. Now I think it's only going to pluck away the feathers that it needs to in order to get a nice access point into that carcass. And it'll pluck away the soft underbelly feathers. Now that it has relaxed a little bit, I might try one more time at just repositioning. Let's see if we can get a slightly clearer view. He's had a chance to get absorbed in the process of plucking. He's doing quite a thorough job of it. It using its talons and just balancing on top of the francolin. And it's plucked away most of what it wanted to. It's now looks like it's trying to get into the skin now. Nope, still plucking, bit of feather in the mouth there. And that brown eye and the small size and then the banding along the legs and on the belly is what tells me that it is a Gabar goshawk and not an African goshawk or a shikra. It's got that grey chest and then the banding along the bottom there. It looks to me like it's managed to get into the carcass now, plucked away most of the feathers, and is now having a chance to feed. And the way that this bird would have been able to take on a francolin of that size, you can see there's not much in the way of a size difference between the two birds. But what the goshawk will do is come at it at very, very high speeds, and they've got incredibly powerful talons. And it uses its momentum just to grab the francolin and break its neck very, very quickly. And francolins are fairly slow and clumsy flyers. They're not the most agile. So if a goshawk times it right, they're able to take them out very quickly. The other goshawk that was acting as a spectator has disappeared from view for now. Oh, no, here it comes. It's just flown into the tree just above our feeding goshawk. It's going to be very, very hard to see, but it is basically directly above this goshawk in the tambuti that it's feeding under. And I wonder if it's going to be brave enough to come and try and tackle it. It is just there in that branch there. I don't think we're going to be able to see it. It's in the thick stuff. This could be very interesting. Our feeding goshawk hasn't reacted at all to the presence of the other bird. Didn't even, as far as I could tell, didn't even look up when the other goshawk landed. So absorbed in its meal. And as you can see, it's only plucked away the feathers that it needed to get into the meaty section of the francolin. And it looks like it started feeding around the breast area. And he looked up then just because that other goshawk flew up out of the tree and away. So it decided that it's not brave enough to challenge this particular goshawk for that francolin. Just like that, that sighting has taught us so much in one go. So you've had the opportunity to see how a goshawk is capable, even a small goshawk like the Gabar goshawk, is capable of taking out and will prey on francolins. And I can tell you that it is their favorite food. We learned that go-away birds are more than capable of taking on a Gabar goshawk in large numbers, and that the Gabar goshawks will pluck only what they need to in order to get into the best part of the carcass, and that they are happy to feed on the ground, although he did try and fly away with it. It was obviously too heavy, as long as they remain hidden behind cover. So every time we try and get a better view, he moves slightly, just to stay hidden. As I mentioned earlier, although they do have that incredibly small size, almost the same size as the francolin, Curious One was wondering what his method of kill would be, and that would be to approach at very, very high speed with talons outstretched and to snap the francolin's neck as quickly as possible, their neck or their back. So using their momentum and those powerful crushing talons just to complete the kill. Absolutely incredible moment that was. And while we have that opportunity with this beautiful goshawk still next to us, and they are very, very striking birds, I just want to grab my bird book and show you a little bit about the different goshawks that we could confuse it for in this area. So the one that we're looking at the moment is a Gabar goshawk. And it actually is one of the goshawks that come with the most color variations. So the one that we've got here is this one over here on the left, but they also have a dark morph, and then you get the juveniles that look like that. So very, very pretty birds. And that's, you can see the barring only goes up to that part of the chest, and that dark eye is what tells us what it is, along with the fact that it is quite a small size. And if I just flip the page, there is an African goshawk, which is also quite a similar size, but with barring all the way up to the chest, up to the lower beak, as well as a yellow eye. Let's just have a look. I just need to find the page that's on. Now, we did have a question about whether or not this is not an Ovambo sparrowhawk. And that question was from Ramon. So here's an example of an Ovambo sparrowhawk. And although it does have the same dark brown eye, and it's very, very similar with that barring along the tail, the biggest difference is the barring that goes all the way up the chest and up under the neck. So that is where the difference actually lies. And it's also very, very unusual. It's not unheard of, but it's fairly unusual to have them in this area. So that is that they're also ever so slightly bigger than the African goshawk. And then the last one that we could probably have confused it with, or the last two, would be both the shikra, which has, as you can see, the barring all the way up with the cherry eye, and the little sparrowhawk, which has got the barring also all the way up. So those are the birds of a similar size in this area. So Ramon, I hope that helps to clear up some of the confusion. Now, our little goshawk is starting to feel very uncomfortable with us here. And I think that is partly because it's starting to get dark and his kill is on the ground and he's sitting with an audience. Might have eaten his fill. He's got a very, very full crop. But as you can see, it has left it for now. And I think that may well be our cue to leave, as awesome as the sighting has been, while he is separate from it. I don't want to disturb him any further as it starts to get late. I'm cheeping away. I think he might just have eaten his fill for the moment, but I am going to take this as an opportunity to leave him be, because I don't want to, as it starts to get a little bit darker, I don't want to disturb him any longer. But if we can just have one last look at him while he's sitting like this, then we can see the lack of barring. You can see how that very, very full crop sitting up there. If we look at it there, it's completely uniform slate grey in colour, and the barring only starts halfway down the chest. So I hope that helps in terms of your bird identification. Oh! And the second goshawk has arrived. Again, looks like the same, definitely the same. It is a Gabar goshawk as well, but slightly shyer and very much more secretive, not as keen to be close to our car as this other one is comfortable being. And while we have this opportunity, and because I don't want to prevent the second one from feeding, I'm going to leave them be to their dinner and just loop around towards Buffelshoek Dam. We're very, very close. We're actually just on the other side of the dam wall. Goshawks, and the one that was particularly shy, Crystal wanted to know if goshawks are monogamous and if these two would be mates. And my suspicion is yes, they're both adults, they've both got the adult colouring, and the fact that the one was not threatened by the presence of the other makes me think that they could well be a mated pair. And the bigger one who'd made the kill was, as with all raptors, probably the female. Now we're starting to lose a bit of light, but I have come to Buffelshoek because I have a really, really nice surprise for Gracie. Now last time I was here at Buffelshoek Dam, Gracie wanted to know where Bob's companion was. And Gracie, I'm happy to tell you that as I came around the corner, I spotted 2 hippos in Buffelshoek Dam. So Bob has once again got his companion with him, his lady friend. She's a little bit more shy than Bob is. She's hiding away behind his nose. But Gracie, if you are watching, Bob is once again no longer too lonely. Here we go. You can just see that second set of ears peeking out from behind Bob the Bachelor's nose. And I know that Gracie says a prayer every night for Bob the Bachelor of Buffelshoek. So there you go. He does have his lady friend. We're not sure how long she might choose to stay. I think she's quite independent and chooses to come and go as she pleases. Now, as the sun starts to set, I know that I've got a lot of answers about my quiz on who that dung belonged to, and a very well done. Most of you did get it right, and yes, you are correct. It was indeed a scrub hare. Now, it's time for me to head back to Inger's after an amazing afternoon with that incredible kill. It's one of the most exciting bird sightings I've ever had, and definitely the highlight of the day for me, despite spending all that time with Ellie's. But for now, I'm going to head back across to Inger's. So I'm going to say a big thank you to Wium, wildebeest, for all of his wonderful camera work in capturing that incredible moment. And a big thank you to you, the viewers. And I'm going to head back and say goodbye for now and send you back across to Stef for the rest of this sunset safari. Have a nice day.
Well, it looks like I'm fast moving into winning my bet with Andrew that these lions are only going to get moving at, what did I say, 5 past 6?
10 past.
10 past 6, okay. And on that note, I just want to say that there's a very good chance for us to actually extend the show tonight. We are going to be testing out some new equipment, and although after 6 o'clock the show is going to be jumpy, we may have battery changes, we may have funny pictures coming through. For those of you who are keen, you're welcome to join the show. We're going to be streaming it live, testing out some new camera equipment that is on test here and designed specifically to capture animals at night time. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So if you want to see live testing of new equipment, you're welcome to join us. We're going to be doing it probably for about an hour or so, if we can, after the show. So a special bonus treat behind the scenes, so to say, look at what we get up to. But these are flat at the moment. Just one of the Birminghams. The fifth member of the Pride, looks like the blonde male, did get up and walk to join the rest of his coalition. There he's lying over there. Still lying slightly apart, but as I mentioned previously or this afternoon, that's not uncommon for male lion to do. They're still all together, they're still all equal. He's not being shoved out in any way. That's just his particular personality trait coming through. And the fact that he's not a direct sibling of the other four. They won't gang up on him. All that stuff has been sorted out many, many years ago. And while they might squabble with one another over bits and pieces of food and even the odd fight amongst one another, it's definitely just brothers going about being brothers. Lions will roughly sleep 16 to 20 hours a day. Oh, he's just woken up listening to something in the distance. I can't hear a thing, so just testimony to the fact that these lions have senses that we don't even understand. I mean, it's the sunlight streaming off of his mane. Isn't that a beautiful sight? Wow, Wow, today's been a day for younger viewers. We've got Ella in New Jersey, who's only 6 years old and watching the show for the first time. And I just want to say, Ella, welcome to the show, and I hope this is the first of many. And you've asked, what is a lion's favorite food? Ella, generally speaking, a lion's favorite food is anything that weighs between 50 kilograms and 300 kilograms. And in pounds, that's 100 pounds to 600 pounds. And that would include things like kudu and waterbuck and nyala and any babies, unfortunately. But in areas where there are not too many of those big animals, they will go for even larger animals, and their lion will eat anything up to elephant is their favorite food. So it all depends on where the lions are and what is the most abundant food source for them. In this particular area, they enjoy eating buffalo. These male lions are very good at eating buffalo. They enjoy it. But generally across Africa, anything between 100 pounds and 300 pounds, or 600 pounds, excuse me, 100 kilograms and 300 kilograms would be their favorite. Can still see he's very dozy. Between 16 and 20 hours a day spent sleeping. And they'll sleep the most during the hottest time of the day, with their most active periods just after sunset and just before sunrise. This looks like that male with that sore patch on his ear. I'm actually just going to pick up my binoculars and have a look. Definitely, I think this is that male with that bite mark or scratch mark on his ear. You can see the way that it's hanging. It's definitely got some infection there. I saw him scratching a little bit earlier. That he picked up from what I could tell when he was having a fight with the Styx lioness. See, there's just a hairless piece of skin there, and that could be from anything. It could be the infection, it could be him scratching it all the time, it could also be his brothers licking it, trying to lick it clean. They will groom one another's wounds. Doesn't look like it's doing anything to him. Their immune systems are incredibly strong. They really recover very well from injuries sustained. Even broken bones and things heal fine without any intervention. Today's been such a fantastic day. It's been one of those afternoons that's allowed Jamie to stay at a waterhole and watch the procession of animals coming down to the water, and for myself to be either with the lions or also parading around the area that these lions are in. And Joyce has asked, how close are these lions to the waterhole? If that's where all the prey species of animals are, and previously I did mention that these lions are looking a little bit hungry, are they near any waterholes? Joyce, you know, they are probably closest to Buffelshoek Dam at the moment, and between Buffelshoek Dam and the big dam in Chitwa, I'd say they're lying about in the middle of those two dams. The two dams lie probably as the crow flies 5 or 6 kilometers from one another. So no, they're not close to water is the easy answer to that. And yes, they are still hungry. But I think what's happening is that the drive or the need, huge yawn, the need to stake their claim in a particular territory, to actually physically have to fight their way into an area, is taking over their need to eat. It obviously won't do that too often, and they are very opportunistic. In other words, if they heard anything dying close to them, be it another lion killing something, or be it a leopard killing something or even a hyena killing something, they definitely run in there to take over that kill. They'd scavenge very easily. But if they stumble onto something, they will, oh, another huge yawn. They would absolutely hunt it as well. And we know from the footage that we shot of them in November, during Big Cat Week last November, that they're very capable buffalo killers. And there is a lot of buffalo on Djuma at the moment. So who knows, maybe tonight would be one of those nights where the need to stake a claim in their territory is taken over by their gnawing hunger in their bellies. This grooming ritual that you're seeing at the moment is a precursor to them getting active. It usually starts with one lion, then they go lie down, then another lion, then he goes and lies down, then they have a bit of a toilet break, and then all of a sudden they get up and they start walking. Another huge yawn. There's an interesting question that's just come through from Gemma, somewhere in the USA, and I think it's the first time that you're asking a question, Gemma. Welcome to the show. And you've asked, if I make a statement that lion are only active in the early evening and early morning, what happens in the middle of the night? What happens in the deeper parts of the evening? And there are animals that are active in the deeper part of the evening, Gemma. Aardvark, for one, typically only start becoming active around about 11 o'clock at night time in summer. In winter it's slightly earlier, and in the very coldest times of the year it's actually, you can see them during the day. But typically in the middle of the evening, hyena, spotted and brown hyena, a variety of different genet, the two small and large spotted genet, civet, bunch of different murids and rodents, so shrews and mice and rats would be active throughout the night. White-tailed mongoose, caracal, serval, which are both part of the cat family, African wildcat, black-footed cat are also active throughout the night. All the different types of mongoose, and I'm basing this on the fact that the amount of tracks that we see on the roads in the morning of these small animals, of these smaller animals or more nocturnal animals, is way too much for them to be just active in the early part of the evening and in the early parts of the morning. You just find their tracks all over the place. I mean, hyena walk pretty much, I think there's a fresh hyena track on every single road in Djuma every single day. Remind everybody that today is going to be one of those days where you get a sneak peek behind the scenes. We are going to be running our show a little bit later, and the reason for that is that we're going to be testing out some new equipment, camera equipment in particular, that's very good at filming at night time. So what's happening at the moment is Jamie is just getting ready with that new equipment. We're busy trying to get it to work on her vehicle. She's then going to come out and we're going to try and stick with these lions as long as what we can, at night time. Or Jamie's going to try and stick with whatever she can to test out the new equipment. It does mean, though, that because it's a behind-the-scenes view, that there's going to be battery changes, we're going to change some lenses. It's definitely not going to be at the same quality that you're used to during the daytime. But like I said, it's a behind-the-scenes view of what we get up to over here, and a unique opportunity for you to be part of testing the new equipment. So we are going to be running late. You'll notice that I'm going to be switching on the lights now, and we're going to be hopefully sticking with these lions as they go through their ritual of waking up, which is unusual for us to see. And myself and Andrew will try and keep you live and, I suppose, current as long as we can. Need some more light. Let's see if I can reposition my car so that I can switch on our spotlights. Amazing that difference when I finally get the right button to push after pushing and pulling almost every single button on my dashboard. As you can see, so very flat. Now that will change. I have a bet on for 10 past 6, although I think we're getting very close to that number. What time have we got there?
2 past.
2 minutes past 6?
Yeah.
So I've still got 8 minutes. A little bit different lions at night time. Whereas I would approach lions in the day on foot, at night time lions are very different, a different kettle of fish. They are super inquisitive at night time and also super confident at night time. They are almost bipolar in that sense. Whereas a male lion will normally get up and run away from you at night time, during the daytime. At night time he will actively approach people. They have been known to come and harass people around campfires. I've had lions walk straight through trails camps that I've hosted, chase me up into the embankments and roar me awake outside my tent in the mornings on more than one occasion. Sally in the UK has just asked a question to me. Has there been any sightings of the Styx lioness with the one surviving cub? And that is also with Asif, who's asked anything happening between the Matimbas and the Birminghams. What happened last night? We were expecting there to be fireworks last night. Now, Sally, firstly, I want to say that I haven't heard anything from my colleagues. I'll be honest that I haven't really asked. In the melee that's been these guys coming onto the property. It's been one of those questions that for some reason or another has just slipped my mind, so I actually can't answer that question. I will, however, try my best to try and get the answer tonight when I get home, and definitely try and give you an update on what's happening there. As for what happened last night between the Matimbas and the Birminghams, I probably think that the Matimbas either fled to regroup and come back into their area, or they had a little bit of a scrap last night. I can't really say that these lions look like they've been in a fight. These males look remarkably clean for having even fought against two male lions like the Matimbas. These are young male lions, don't forget. This is the first time that they are trying to do a pride takeover. And the Matimbas are experienced lions. They're also bigger lions than this. And no matter what the encounter is going to be between the two of them, I think that they're going to be bloodshed on both sides. And I don't see any evidence of that. I don't see any bite marks or fresh scratch marks on them at all. So I think that it's probably fair to say that they managed to avoid one another last night, including the Styx lionesses. There's been no updates on the radio today at all. Because we're running late and it's a bit atypical to how we normally do our show, for those of you wondering if during this whole test you can still ask questions and send through your comments, you are absolutely welcome to. While we're doing all of this, you're welcome to carry on using the hash or the Twitter handle hashtag Safari Live, or email through your questions to questions@wildearth.tv. And we'll see what we can get through during these tests, absolutely. You can see the dry nature of the grass there against this lions. For literally only 2 weeks ago, the grass was the same color as these lions. And now you can see it's taking on that grey cast. And they're starting to stick out again. So considering that we've just really seen elephant and lion today, Asif has actually asked us quite an interesting question. Knowing that some lions in some areas of Africa actually do hunt elephant as a priority during the dry season like they do in the Chobe, do we know of any lions in the Sabi Sands that hunt elephant? And Asif, I have to say, no, I don't know of any lion prides who would specialize in elephant hunting in the Sabi Sands at this moment. But it's absolutely not uncommon for coalitions of males like this to take on elephant. Generally it would be young elephant or a really injured elephant. I do know that the Mapogos were quite well known for taking on prey much larger than themselves. They killed a number of hippo and even an elephant, as far as I know. But absolutely, they would generally take on this if it was the only thing that presented itself. And lions being opportunistic, you don't quite know what sparks a frenzy, but they can get themselves worked up and take on something as big as an elephant. Generally, the tactic with elephant hunting, from what I've seen with my own eyes, is exactly the same as it would be for buffalo hunting. It would be staying away from the dangerous end, which is the front of the elephant, and anchoring the elephant down with sheer weight on the back legs, trying to trip the animal over. And then from there, it's quite a tragic series of events. Because elephants can't really be suffocated, it's literally just through shock and through blood loss that the elephant finally dies. It's absolutely not a nice thing to see. Even I have turned away and turned down at that. It's one of those really emotional kills. But that's exactly what would happen. I mean, it's Acha, it is real, it is what we see, it is supposed to happen, it's what they do. So it's just a personal preference, really, if you're going to be watching it or not. But yeah, I haven't seen it with my own eyes in the Sabi Sands, and I haven't heard of it happen for quite some time as well. But definitely possible, a feasible idea. We're starting to hear a few of the nocturnal birds coming out at the moment. That was a thickney that you heard screeching as I started to start my story. Funnily enough, got a turtle dove calling as well. Other than that, the little owls that we usually hear, I haven't heard them now. And the bush isn't singing just yet with those insects. That is very typical of a summer evening out at this time of the evening. Very quiet, very peaceful. What's the time there, Mr. Andrew?
11 past 6.
Oh, I've missed my my bet, so lost that one. For those of you just joining us now by surprise, is that I bet Andrew that these lines will get moving today at 10 past 6, and we are 1 minute past that time at the moment on Andrew's watch. Now let's see how far off I am to that particular estimate when they finally do get moving tonight. I suppose it's a good thing that they're not moving. The area that we're in at the moment, we drove through following Karula, a female leopard this morning, and it is incredibly thick. It's a very dense piece of bush this at the moment. Excuse me, and I think to stick with them at night where we can't really see where we're going would be a big challenge in this area. In other areas it's quite easy to follow lion at night time, especially 5 big males like this. What's quite interesting about the territory that they are lying up in the moment is that the Matimba coalition, the coalition that they're having a bit of a boundary dispute with at the moment, and who they are having a fight over dominance over a couple of the prides in the area that the Matimbas have control over, is pretty much uninhabited by lion, to be quite honest. From what we can understand, the Matimbas have the core of their territory on the south of where we are at the moment, and the Majigalan males have their core territory also away from Djuma and this portion of Torchwood, or close to where we are, Torchwood and Buffelshoek, which are adjacent properties to where we are at the moment, and are lying in a bit of an area that is, for all intents purposes, unoccupied, because the Matimbas have been uncontested in this particular area for quite some time. And their home range around their core territory will definitely shrink with these males sticking around. And I'm hoping that they actually make Djuma their core territory, which would be fantastic. It means that at least for the next year or two we will get to see these males quite often. And core territories are relatively small, home ranges are relatively big. In the Sabi Sands, home ranges are roughly 5,000 hectare. And the size of the core territories is probably about 1/20th of that. And by core territory I mean an area where the females will most likely go and have their cubs, and it'll be the area that the pride, including the males, will often fight to the death to protect. It's their castle. Whereas a home range has some overlap from prides all around the area. And on the theme of lions, what they can and they cannot take down, Colin, who's 15, has and from Johannesburg, hello Colin, has asked, can lion prides or lion coalitions take down rhino? Absolutely, Colin, they can absolutely take down rhino. Obviously, rhino are like these big battle tanks with a big horn on the front, and are going to be difficult to take down. Absolutely, but it's not unfeasible to think that they wouldn't be able to take one down. I haven't seen rhino being killed by a lion just yet. I've seen elephant kill rhino, and I've seen rhino kill buffalo, but I've never seen lion kill a rhino, or a rhino kill a lion, for that matter of fact. They seem to coexist quite happily with one another. You can see evidence that they are still enjoying their nap, not a care in the world. Obviously not hungry enough to wake up. And go and hunt just yet. And also obviously not worried enough about their territory to get up and start roaring. Big stretch. Giving himself a hug. That's quite typical of lion, that curled front paws. Have a look at that. And flopping over. Only thing he needs to do is have his tongue hanging out of his mouth. A little bit cooler. This time of the year, as the sun goes down, there's almost a perceptible drop in temperature, and from when we came out 3 hours ago where it was 27 or 28 degrees centigrade, it's now 17 degrees centigrade, and we can fully expect it to drop another 10 degrees centigrade or so, down to about 10 to 12 degrees centigrade by tomorrow morning. Generally we see here a rough 20 centigrade difference between daytime and nighttime temperatures, winter and summer. So in winter it's not uncommon for it to go down to freezing. Here during July, beginning of August, you won't do that for very often, maybe a week or two. Whereas the most of the temperatures in winter here average around about 5 to about 8 degrees as a minimum temperature, with a maximum temperature anywhere from about 17 to 25 degrees in winter. And in summertime, we increase that to a minimum of around about 17 to 25 degrees minimum, and sometimes up to 50 degrees centigrade as a maximum temperature, with an average of probably around about 35 to 40 degrees centigrade. So very, very hot here in summertime. Humidity probably around about 60 to 70%, with an odd day here in January, February where it might peak at about 80-90%. But because we don't live right on the coast, we're about 80 kilometers from the coastline. No, probably a bit more, but 160 kilometers from the coastline. We do get a lot of moisture coming in from the sea. We definitely can smell it and sometimes feel it, and a lot of our weather systems come in over the sea, but we don't get that sort of coastline humidity mugginess. But it's still a relatively high humidity. We're looking at around about 60-70% maximum. as an average, of course. Are they slowly starting to fidget, roll over? They've been doing this the whole afternoon, to be honest. They have been rolling around, moving. One of them has been up, licking themselves. There's always been some action going on the whole afternoon. And with us being on air outside of normal times, I suppose we've elicited a couple of new viewers this way as well. And Beth, who is a first-time viewer, has asked quite an interesting question. Do we find wolves out here? And would we follow them at night time? Now, Beth, there are two wolves in Africa, the Ethiopian wolf and the wild dog, also known as the painted wolf. In Africa, they're not shaggy like you find in your northern hemisphere wolves, and they also don't look exactly the same. If I were to describe what the Ethiopian wolf looks like or what the painted wolf looks like, it would be a coyote or a jackal that's just a bit bigger, and not a wolf that's a bit smaller. And we don't follow them at night time. The Ethiopian wolf is highly endangered, as is the painted wolf. And they are mainly diurnal, which means that they're mainly active during the daytime hours, and at nighttime they are resting. And we have a policy out here that we don't look at animals that are not nocturnal at night. We don't use our spotlights and our lights on them. It does disturb them to a degree, and is atypical. We look at them in the day because they're active in the day, whereas nighttime animals we look at the night because they're active at nighttime. However, and this obviously brings up the question, why do we look at lions and why do we look at leopard during the day when they are obviously sleeping and resting up during the day? And that's because we've found that we don't really disturb these animals during the day. The most disturbance comes from the spotlights or the use of lights at nighttime. And so we've experienced the most, I suppose, change of behavior when we use spotlights on animals that are active during the day at night, and that's why we don't do it. Whereas we don't see that at all with lion and leopard. We can look at them during the day with virtually no change in their behavior. And since we are looking at flat cats, as the saying goes, why not answer a question about myself personally? And Regina has asked me what African countries have I visited. Regina, I was born in South Africa. I'm a South African, and I've toured South Africa quite extensively. I've also toured through Namibia. I've toured through Botswana. I've toured through Mozambique. I've toured through Zambia. I've toured through Tanzania. I've toured through Kenya as well. I've also visited the United States, and I have toured coast to coast, visiting New York City, which I thought was fascinating. I have visited Denver, Las Vegas, San Diego, and LA, and a couple of places in between. I've also been to Australia, to the east coast of Australia, where I spent some time in Sydney and in, I can't even remember the town, in north of Sydney, about a 2-hour flight north of Sydney. I can't remember what it is right now, my mind has gone blank. And I visited the UK, where I toured through Dover and London. So not so many Northern Hemisphere countries. Definitely at the moment, the favorite countries that I enjoy visiting are in Africa. I am a tour nut. I enjoy strapping my tent to my back and going into the wildest places that I can possibly drive into and spending time there on my time off. And I've spent a considerable amount of time, weeks on end, touring through Botswana, Namibia, Mozambique and Zambia. And Tanzania, in actual fact. Visiting the game parks and their towns, and touring the wild places left on this world. When we found these lions this morning, we found them after Jamie having heard them roaring last night. I didn't hear them roaring at all, but Jamie had it surfaced at a time she heard them roaring quite far away, and when I asked Jamie how far, she said it was very far. It was way over our boundary. And we've just been asked, how far away can we hear a lion roar? And depending on the book that you read, it'll tell you anywhere from 4 to 8 kilometers on a very still night. I've experienced lions roaring probably from about 4 to 5 kilometers away. That would be in this particular area in the Sabi Sands, and where I've worked in other places in the Kruger National Park. So in the topography of the Kruger National Park and the Sabi Sands, sound carries for about 4 to 5 kilometers that my ears can hear them at. I suppose in a more open area on a still night with the wind blowing in your favor, you could possibly hear them 8 to 10 kilometers away. However, you'd probably have to have a 20-year-old's ears for that, and have the wind blowing from them to you in a very flat landscape on a very still night for that to happen. Would be my guess, but definitely feasible. I'm not discounting that at all, or the information in the books at all. But in this particular area, 4 to 6 kilometers, I'd say, would be about the average. Just an update from Tara and Final Control, who said that the camera that we're about to test tonight has come out of the box with some gremlins on it, and we will not, unfortunately, be able to test that camera tonight. But definitely keep watching the show. We definitely will be testing out that camera, and you definitely will be invited to partake in having some of these extraordinary behind-the-scenes moments with us. Just not tonight, although you did get treated to, I don't know how many pods, but extra 20 minutes of safari tonight with these sleeping cats. Unfortunately, they are still unconscious. It would have been lovely to see them stand up, but it does give us something to come back to tomorrow and something to look forward to tomorrow. So from myself and from Andrew and from Jamie and from Wium, and I know from Jess and Tara in Final Control, we'd like to say thank you very, very much for viewing the show tonight. Thank you for all your interactivity, and thank you for supporting the product. And we will see you again tomorrow for the Sunrise Safari. So from me, goodbye.